Hey there guys, this is Richard, your host, with another marvelous video. Many DC Comics TV projects have taken fans by storm over the years, only to fizzle into obscurity. While the superhero TV landscape is thriving, some shows never made it past the announcement stage. Unlike the successful Arrowverse on the CW or the expansive MCU, these projects remained unfulfilled dreams. The birth of successful comic book adaptations for the small screen can be traced back to Smallville, which paved the way for today's superhero-dominated screens. However, even with a vast array of DC characters at their disposal, not all ideas come to fruition. Various factors, from creative disagreements to network hesitations, can lead to a project's death either in the womb or early in the crib. In this video, we'll explore all 50 DC TV shows that got cancelled. Just a side note, some of these were absolute gems. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
I'ma take you down.
Ran in with a proper backup.
I'ma take you down.
Batwoman, 2019 to 2022. Batwoman followed Kate Kane's return to Gotham City to take on the mantle of the titular hero after her cousin, Bruce Wayne, disappeared. Her mission became more complex when she discovered her twin sister Beth was alive and was actually the ruthless villain known as Alice. Alice blamed Kate and their father, Jacob Kane, for abandoning her, which led to an extremely troubled relationship between the two sisters. Starring Ruby Rose as Kate Kane, the show was the sixth and final original series in the Arrowverse. Unfortunately, it faced an abrupt cancellation during its third season, leaving numerous unresolved plot lines and character fates hanging. While Batwoman initially showed promise, it struggled to maintain momentum after Ruby Rose's departure before season 2. Javicia Leslie's portrayal of Ryan Wilder brought a fresh perspective, but the show never fully recovered from losing its lead so early in its run. In hindsight, the cancellation may have been a merciful end. Furthermore, various controversies surrounded Batwoman. While Ruby Rose said that the working conditions on the set were deplorable because of the show's rushed shooting, Warner Brothers refuted these claims, saying that Rose's workplace behavior attracted several complaints from her co-workers and other staff. Justice League of America, 1997. In 1997, CBS began the development of Justice League of America as a potential weekly series with Lorne Cameron and David Hazelton at the helm. The show featured Kenny Johnston as the Flash, John Kassir as the Atom, Kimberly Oyer as Ice, Matthew Settle as Green Lantern, Michelle Hurd as Fire, and David Ogden Stiers as Martian Manhunter. While a 90-minute pilot aired in December 1997, it received an obvious negative reception, which in hindsight seems like a blessing in disguise. This television film essentially served as both the introduction and the swan song for Justice League of America. The intended series was poised to follow the adventures of the heroes as they fought all kinds of visually cheap evil and bad guys with poor special and visual effects. However, the pilot's abysmal reviews spelled doom for the project. Justice League of America bore little resemblance to its comic book source material, and its unconventional blend of mockumentary-style interviews with the cast juxtaposed with superheroic action sequences left viewers cringing. The pilot's poor reception led to the series' cancellation, sparing audiences from the prospect of enduring more painful episodes and the most unconventional take on the beloved superhero team. Aquaman, 2006. Following Aquaman's appearance on Smallville, creators Al Gough and Miles Miller aimed to launch a standalone series with Justin Hartley as the lead. It wasn't envisioned as a spin-off but as an independent show. During the pilot's production, there were rumors of the CW, a newly formed network, picking it up. However, after the merger of WB and UPN, the CW ultimately passed on the series. Consequently, the Aquaman pilot found its way to iTunes, where it achieved solid purchase numbers and garnered positive reviews. Interestingly, Hartley's involvement in this project eventually led to his casting as Green Arrow on Smallville. While Alan Ritchson had introduced Arthur Curry in Smallville, showrunners Gough and Miller preferred Hartley. Despite the potential of Aquaman, it remained unrealized, and its long-term appeal compared to Smallville was questionable. Furthermore, it was disappointing for Smallville fans that the series didn't tie into their version of the character, especially given Ritchson's strong portrayal. To be honest, I'm disappointed about the untapped potential of the show, which could have been an above-average piece of work. Birds of Prey, 2002 to 2003. Birds of Prey was set in a post-Batman New Gotham City, where Oracle, or Barbara Gordon, and the Huntress, or Helena Kyle, had inherited the Cape Crusaders' mission to combat crime after he seemingly abandoned Gotham. Their team also included Dinah Redmond, a telepath, Alfred Pennyworth, and Detective Jesse Reese. Detective Reese initially clashed with Huntress, but eventually recognized the necessity of the Birds of Prey in dealing with metahuman criminals. The series ran for a single season of 13 episodes and featured Ashley Scott as the Huntress, Dina Meyer as Oracle, and Rachel Scarston as Dina Redmond. Birds of Prey came in during a challenging period for superhero adaptations. That's possibly why it's a somewhat forgotten chapter in DC's television history. In hindsight, the series felt dated and reminiscent of early campy superhero ventures, in stark contrast to more successful contemporaries like Smallville. Birds of Prey introduced viewers to a female-led vigilante team in Gotham City. Despite its premise, the series faced the challenges of its time and ultimately left a limited imprint on the superhero television scene. Bruce Wayne, 1999. In 1999, screenwriter Tim McKinley's proposed a Batman prequel series called Bruce Wayne. This origin story would have followed Bruce Wayne before he assumed the mantle of Batman. The show would have begun on his 18th birthday, when he started walking on the path to becoming Gotham's protector. The series, similar to the TV show Gotham, aimed to explore the origins of various iconic Batman characters, both the good and the bad. The plot would have seen Bruce suspecting his family's company, Wayne Enterprises, of contributing to Gotham's decline and corruption, and potentially trying to eliminate him. The overarching theme would have been corrupt businessmen seeking control of Wayne Enterprises, while Bruce confronted the local mafia, initially led by Rupert Thorne and Carmine Falcone, later succeeded by Oswald Cobblepot. Detective Gordon would have faced his own battles against police corruption within the GCPD, particularly under the leadership of Lieutenant Flass. Bruce's best friend, Harvey Dent, would have been portrayed as rich, spoiled, and self-centered, with hints of his transformation into Two-Face later in life. His character would have been further developed, delving into his troubled past, struggles in law school, and the roots of his eventual transformation. Warner Brothers showed keen interest in adding the DC prequel to their lineup, but the project was halted by the studio's film division. With plans for a Batman film reboot, they didn't want a TV series running concurrently. However, the concept didn't go to waste, as it was reworked into Smallville, focusing on the early years of Clark Kent's life instead. Starman, 2002. Starman, created by Gardner Fox and Jack Burnley, made his debut in 1941 as Ted Knight, an astronomer who wielded a gravity rod that allowed him to fly and manipulate energy. However, like many of his contemporaries from the Golden Age, Starman faded into relative obscurity in the 1950s. Over the years, various characters briefly took on the Starman mantle with varying degrees of connection to the original. In 1994's Zero Hour, Crisis in Time #1, writer James Robinson introduced Jack Knight, Ted's reluctant son who inherited his father's name and mission. The most recent Starman successor is Stargirl, though the name is often associated with Jack Knight. Interestingly, in 2002, producers behind Smallville and Birds of Prey were developing a Starman TV series centered on Jack and his father, Ted. The show would have been set in DC Comics' Opal City and focused on the Knight family's adventures. Unfortunately, the project was put on hold in 2003 following the cancellation of Birds of Prey by the WB after just one season. The Flash, 2003. In 2003, the WB began developing a distinct version of The Flash under the guidance of writer-producer Todd Komarnicki. Unlike previous and future iterations in the Arrowverse, this take on the DC Speedster didn't have a traditional superhero costume. The series aimed to explore the character's unique abilities, and it was ambiguous which Flash it would follow, whether Barry Allen, Wally West, or someone else entirely. The central theme revolved around time travel as the driving force, with the protagonist using his super speed to travel to the past and future to combat crime. The premise introduced a young Gothamite who had recently graduated from college and was meandering through life until he discovered his extraordinary calling to move at the speed of light. However, despite initial hopes of securing a spot on the WB's 2004 fall schedule, updates on the project ceased after 2003. While the 2003 pilot script for The Flash has never surfaced, this unfulfilled project remains a mostly forgotten chapter in television history. Instead, audiences would have to wait until a decade later to witness Grant Gustin's live-action portrayal of the Scarlet Speedster in a more successful adaptation. Interestingly, the announcement of this unrealized Flash series coincided with the news of Christian Bale's casting as Batman.
We want to stop the cycle of violence. I'm here to help.
Hawk and Dove, 2018. When Alan Ritchson and Minka Kelly joined the cast of Titans as Hawk and Dove in Season 1, there was initial talk of a potential spin-off series for the crime-fighting duo. The idea of a Hawk and Dove spin-off was in the air when their casting was announced. Alan Ritchson later elaborated in a 2019 interview that the creators had indeed contemplated a spin-off for Hank and Dawn, but wanted to first assess their reception on Titans and gauge the DC Universe platform's dynamics. As the DC Universe platform evolved, with its shift toward comics, Titans found its new home on HBO Max. Consequently, it became apparent that the envisioned Hawk and Dove spin-off would never come to fruition. Throughout 3 seasons, Hawk and Dove played significant roles in Titans as a beloved crime-fighting couple. Alan Ritchson clarified that his departure from the series wasn't his decision, but a choice made by the creative team and producers who wanted to streamline the cast. Ritchson's initial contract was for 2 episodes, with a separate deal in place for a spin-off. Their popularity on Titans led to an extended presence on the show. However, despite their popularity and potential, the spin-off project ultimately remained unrealized. Amazon, 2011. In the early 2010s, the superhero wave inspired networks to explore new adaptations of iconic characters. In 2011, a pilot featuring Adrienne Palicki as Wonder Woman was produced but never greenlit. The concept aimed to modernize the 70s Linda Carter series and bring Diana Prince back to the small screen. However, the project languished until 2012, when the CW considered a series titled Amazon. This show would have portrayed a young Diana Prince's journey before becoming Wonder Woman, with Alan Heinberg as the writer. Despite occasional murmurs about the project, it lost momentum as Gal Gadot was cast as Wonder Woman in the DC Extended Universe. The success of Gadot's portrayal ultimately sealed the fate of Amazon. Adrienne Palicki had briefly stepped into Wonder Woman's boots in the ill-fated 2011 pilot. While the concept had potential, it faced criticism for its mixed messaging and portrayal of the iconic character. Palicki's performance hinted at her potential as Wonder Woman, but the project's shortcomings led to its demise. The CW abandoned plans for the series, which was revealed by their former CEO, Mark Pedowitz's announcement in 2017. Despite the initial excitement, the project's execution and timing were less than ideal, sparing audiences from a flawed adaptation. Deadman, 2011. Circus trapeze artist Boston Brand, known as Deadman, met an untimely end when he was murdered during a performance by a mysterious figure known as the Hook. Bestowed with otherworldly abilities by the Hindu deity Ramakrishna, Deadman's spirit gained the power to possess the living in his quest for justice. After the conclusion of Smallville, the CW sought to bring Deadman to the small screen. Teaming up with Eric Kripke, the creator of Supernatural, the network began the development of a Deadman series. In this envisioned adaptation, Boston's murder would remain a central plot point, granting him the ability to inhabit other people's bodies. However, his newfound gift would be channeled toward aiding individuals in resolving their own problems. Despite initial intentions, the Deadman series quietly faded from development. In 2016, Eric Kripke acknowledged the project's fate on Twitter, suggesting that it might have been for the best as the script didn't align with their original vision. Eric Kripke's vision seemed promising, but ultimately led to a project that didn't materialize, which is sad because Deadman is quite an intriguing DC Comics character. Lobo, 2019. Lobo, the interstellar mercenary and bounty hunter hailing from the planet Xania, made his debut as a villain in the 1980s but gradually faded from the comic scene. It wasn't until the early 1990s that he resurfaced as a bounty hunter, becoming an unexpected hit with fans. As far as TV is concerned, Lobo finally made his live-action debut in the 2nd season of Sci-Fi's Krypton and was portrayed by Emmett J. Scanlon. His appearance on the show was intended to serve as a launchpad for his own spin-off series, a prospect that garnered excitement. However, the road to a standalone Lobo series faced a setback as Krypton encountered a significant drop in ratings during its 2nd season, leading to its cancellation in 2019. With Krypton on the chopping block, plans for the Lobo spin-off were also shelved. Scanlon, who had embraced the wild and unpredictable nature of Lobo, expressed his disappointment in the unforeseen end to his run as the character. He likened Lobo to a fusion of Wolverine and the Joker, and fondly recalled his time portraying the main man. Lobo's journey from the comic pages to live-action television included a promising start on Krypton, but not all things see the light of day.
I'm addressing the entity inside. Hear my words!
Constantine, 2014. John Constantine, the occult expert and demon hunter, battled supernatural threats unleashed upon our world by the rising darkness. Haunted by past sins, he walked the fine line between good and evil, using his skills and a mystical scry map to send these threats back to their realm. all in the pursuit of redeeming his soul from eternal torment. In November 2014, NBC announced that it wouldn't extend the initial 13-episode order for the first season of Constantine. However, they left the door open for a potential second season. On May 8, 2015, NBC made the call not to renew the series, prompting Warner Bros. Television to explore other networks for a potential revival. Unfortunately, these efforts proved unsuccessful. A month later, showrunner Daniel Cerrone confirmed that the cast and crew had been released from their contracts, effectively signaling the end of the series. Despite a passionate fan base that rallied for its renewal, Cerrone expressed his regret that they couldn't deliver more of the show that viewers had embraced. The dedication of these fans was a testament to the impact and potential of Constantine. Powerless, 2017. Powerless, set in the DC universe, was a truly unique show simply because of the fresh perspective it offered by focusing on the everyday lives of regular people in a world filled with superheroes and supervillains. Vanessa Hudgens portrayed Emily Locke, Director of Research and Development at Wayne Security, a subsidiary of Wayne Enterprises. Their mission was to create products protecting ordinary citizens from the collateral damage resulting from epic battles between superheroes and villains. While Powerless was set in the DC universe, it didn't directly adapt comic book storylines, not even those from the Batman franchise. Instead, it carved its own niche by imagining tales that ran parallel to the established comic plots. As a sitcom, the series promised humor and wit against the backdrop of a superhero-dominated world. Despite its promising premise and a star-studded cast featuring Vanessa Hudgens, Alan Tudyk, Danny Pudi and Ron Funches, the show faced a short-lived run of 12 episodes in 2017 and ended up getting cancelled. The show's downfall was attributed to lackluster writing that failed to capitalize on its intriguing concept. Many believed that the series had potential, but it became evident early on that the show was not living up to its premise, leading to its premature demise. HBO Max's Green Lantern. DC's Green Lantern has faced an obnoxious amount of challenges as far as the live-action adaptations are concerned. The 2011 film, starring Ryan Reynolds, was DC's bid to start what would become the DC Extended Universe, but the movie grossly underperformed at the box office and earned a mere $19 million over its $200 million budget. Efforts to introduce the character in the Arrowverse were also met with disastrous results, with John Diggle failing miserably to embrace his role as the Green Lantern. A ray of hope emerged from the shadows when Greg Berlanti, the mastermind behind the Arrowverse, conceptualized a Green Lantern TV series for HBO Max in the year 2019. Berlanti enlisted Seth Grahame-Smith, known for his work on the Lego Batman movie, as the writer and showrunner. The series cast Finn Wittrock as Guy Gardner and Jeremy Irvin as Alan Scott. It promised to feature various lanterns from the comics, as well as a new lantern named Bree Jarta. Grahame-Smith crafted 8 episodes for the first season. However, in October 2022, a decision was made to refocus the series on Jon Stewart. Following this shift, Grahame-Smith departed from the project. Another HBO Max show on Constantine. As Warner Bros.' official streaming service, HBO Max aimed to lure subscribers with a wide range of exclusive content, including several new and exciting shows based on DC properties. In 2021, it was revealed that a Constantine series was in development under the helm of J.J. Abrams. This series was set to be part of Abrams' broader vision to expand the Justice League Dark universe, which had taken fans by storm. Rumors also circulated on social media that Chope Dirisu, known for his role in Gangs of London, might take on the role of Hellblazer. However, the actor clarified in 2022 that he was not cast for that role, leaving the possibility open for another character in the series. Unexpectedly, in September 2022, a sequel to the 2005 film Constantine was announced. Keanu Reeves was set to reprise his role as the titular character on the big screen. This announcement simultaneously signaled the end of the HBO Max Constantine series. So I wouldn't say that we're at a total loss there. The Graysons, 2008. During Smallville's 8th season, uncertainty loomed over the show's continuation until Tom Welling eventually renewed his contract. In the midst of this uncertainty, the Smallville team began laying the groundwork for The Graysons, a series centered around the early life of Dick Grayson before the tragic murder of his family. The Graysons concept generated interest due to its focus on Dick Grayson's formative years before becoming Robin. However, it also faced an unexpected hurdle. Warner Bros., influenced by Christopher Nolan's successful Batman film series, decided that the Graysons didn't align with their current strategy for the Batman franchise. As a result, Warner Bros. Television began exploring alternative options for the CW network. Blue Beetle, 2010. The legacy of the Blue Beetle in the DC universe has been somewhat of a roller coaster, with the first Blue Beetle as Dan Garrett, who initially gained superhuman abilities through a special vitamin, but these powers were later replaced by a sacred scarab. The character had his own comic and was even featured in a weekly radio serial. Fast forward to a decade ago, the teenage Blue Beetle, Jaime Reyes, came close to having his own live-action series. In 2010, Geoff Johns unveiled test footage for a potential live-action Blue Beetle show. The proof of concept showcased Jaime transforming into the titular hero, complete with the alien scarab. While the specific network or the extent of the series' development remained undisclosed, the test footage provided fans with a glimpse into what could have been. To this day, that test footage is the sole visual representation of Jaime Reyes' potential live-action television adaptation.
You're exactly where you said you'd be. Do not get on that ship.
Our Man, 2013. Scientist Rex Tyler, hailing from upstate New York, developed a passion for biochemistry during his college years while working at Bannerman Chemical. His research led to the discovery of quite an extraordinary and miraculous vitamin, which he named Miraclo. Clearly, no serious thought was put into the nomenclature. Miraclo was capable of temporarily granting superhuman strength and vitality to test mice for an hour, and he used it on himself. Naturally, because of Miraclo, Our Man also got extraordinary powers and abilities, but only for an hour. The CW explored the possibility of a DC TV series centered around Our Man, who later became a Justice Society of America hero. Michael Kaleo was tasked with writing and executive producing the show. This reimagination of Our Man's character had him experiencing traumatic visions of events occurring 1 hour into the future. He aimed to reconcile with his family by adopting the persona of Our Man and using these visions to thwart crimes before they transpired. However, the project remained unproduced as the Arrowverse expanded rapidly. Fortunately, Our Man found a place in the Stargirl series. Green Arrow and the Canaries, 2020. Following the conclusion of Arrow after its 8th season, the CW aimed to continue the legacy with the spin-off Green Arrow and the Canaries. The show focused on Mia Queen, played by Kat McNamara, Laura Lance, played by Katie Cassidy, and Dina Drake, played by Juliana Harkavy, and featured a backdoor pilot in the penultimate episode of Arrow. However, despite fan anticipation, the CW decided not to move forward with the series, a decision influenced in part by the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Efforts were made to explore the possibility of airing Green Arrow and the Canaries on HBO Max, but those discussions ultimately fell through. In January 2021, it was officially announced that the CW would not be pursuing the series, although co-creator Mark Guggenheim later revealed on Twitter that this decision had been made earlier, citing the pandemic's impact. Katie Cassidy, who portrayed Laurel Lance, expressed her understanding of the situation and a desire for new opportunities. She emphasized that while she enjoyed working on the show and valued her fellow cast members, it was essential to explore different avenues. Wonder Girl, 2020. In 2020, the CW was developing Wonder Girl, a series centered on Yara Flor, a recently introduced DC heroine. This character, a half Amazonian and half Brazilian rain goddess, had yet to make her debut in DC Comics, but had garnered enough intrigue to merit her own show. The project was a collaboration between prolific Greg Berlanti and Daylin Rodriguez, co-showrunner of Queen of the South. Despite initial promise, Wonder Girl hit a roadblock in 2021. Rodriguez took to Twitter to announce the series' cancellation, expressing pride in the script she'd crafted but alluding to the CW's lack of enthusiasm for the concept. This decision meant that Wonder Girl would not come to life as a series. Had it moved forward, Wonder Girl would have broken new ground as the first superhero series featuring a Latino character in the lead role. The Arrowverse had previously shown a willingness to explore lesser-known DC characters, such as Naomi, but Wonder Girl faced an uncertain fate from the outset. Ultimately, Yara Flor made her official debut in Dark Knight's Death Metal #7 in January 2021, which introduced her to the broader DC Comics universe. Smallville's Green Arrow and Lois Lane, 2006. During Justin Hartley's tenure as Oliver Queen on the TV series Smallville, there were talks of a potential spin-off series. Hartley shared details about this on Michael Rosenbaum's Insider View podcast. The idea revolved around a series centered in Metropolis, featuring Green Arrow and Lois Lane, played by Erica Durance. While it didn't see the light of day, Justin Hartley did become a regular cast member for Smallville's final 3 seasons. Hartley's portrayal of Oliver Queen garnered a substantial fan following, ultimately contributing to the creation of the Arrow series, albeit indirectly. Furthermore, the specifics of the Metropolis spin-off remain unclear, as the conversation quickly veered toward other topics during the podcast. It's likely that the concept was considered between Smallville seasons 6 and 7, when Lois and Oliver's on-again, off-again relationship was prominent. However, if the spin-off had proceeded after season 7, it would have posed challenges, as both characters had moved on from their romantic involvement. Oliver had married Chloe Sullivan, Lois's cousin, while Lois herself ended up with Clark Kent. These developments would have complicated the dynamics of a Lois and Oliver-centric spin-off. Justice League from Smallville, 2007. One of Smallville's most intriguing episodes was Justice in Season 6, which centered around the Justice League. Originally, this episode was conceived as a launchpad for a Smallville Justice League spin-off series. Written and directed by Stephen S. DeKnight, Justice featured Green Arrow, Impulse, Cyborg, and Aquaman, setting the stage for their own show. DeKnight was slated to co-create the spin-off, which would have introduced a fresh take on the character Brainiac. However, the anticipated Smallville Justice League spin-off never came to fruition, likely due to Warner Brothers' plans for the Justice League Mortal film to be directed by George Miller. In the Smallville series, the Justice League was initially formed to combat Lex Luthor's Level 33.1 projects and consisted of Green Arrow, Cyborg, Impulse, Aquaman, Boy Scout, and Watchtower. Their mission involved thwarting Luthor Corps' experiments on meteor-infected individuals. Over time, Black Canary joined their ranks, initially deceived by Lex Luthor. However, in late 2008, the team faced exposure when Luthor Corps unveiled the secret identities of Aquaman and Black Canary. Consequently, the group temporarily disbanded and distanced itself from Luthor Corps. Smallville Supergirl, 2008. Before Supergirl made its debut in 2015, plans were in motion for Smallville's Kara Zor-El, portrayed by Laura Vandervoort, to have her own series. Discussions about a spin-off for Kara occurred during Smallville's 7th season. Laura Vandervoort revealed in a 2016 interview with Empire that the producers had envisioned a Supergirl series when she first took on the role. However, several factors played a role in this potential spin-off getting killed in the crib. The Writers Guild of America strike in 2007-2008 impacted Smallville, and the departure of the show's original creators after Season 7 likely contributed to the decision to scrap the spin-off idea. As a result, Supergirl eventually found its home in the Arrowverse years later, but the earlier concept of a spin-off featuring Kara Zor-El from Smallville never came to fruition. Raven, 2010. As Smallville neared its conclusion in 2011, the CW sought new DC TV offerings, preceding the arrival of Arrow in 2012. During this transition, there were plans for a TV series centered around Rachel Roth, also known as Raven, a character from the Teen Titans universe. In late 2010, the CW initiated development for a show called Raven, led by writer and producer Diego Gutierrez. While the project received a script order commitment, it ultimately never came to life. Unfortunately, specific details about the proposed Raven series remained undisclosed, as the CD didn't provide a comprehensive outline of what the show would have entailed. However, Raven found her place in the DC TV later on, becoming a part of Titans and portrayed by Tegan Craft. Raven possessed awesome powers, including tele-empathy, teleportation, the ability to manifest her soul self for physical combat and telekinesis, and the capacity to use her soul self as an extension of her senses. The Spectre, 2011. In 2011, Fox wanted to do a comic book adaptation with a project centered on The Spectre. The series in development had Brandon Camp on board as both writer and executive producer. The Spectre storyline would have revolved around a former police officer, presumably Jim Corrigan, who spent an extended period in the afterlife's limbo. Upon becoming the Spectre, he would embark on a mission to pursue criminals on behalf of the deceased. However, like several other DC TV projects that never came to fruition, the Spectre remained shrouded in silence, with no updates emerging. The Spectre, as a character, wields remarkable powers, granted by the being responsible for the universe's creation. As a spirit, he possesses the ability to travel between the realm of the recently deceased and Earth. Moreover, he can transport individuals to a domain under his control, where he can manipulate reality at will. The Spectre's extensive knowledge of the DC Universe's mystical elements make him a formidable figure, well-versed in demonic rituals and supernatural realms. His primary power lies in altering reality effortlessly and instantaneously, a unique ability that can disrupt even the strongest minds. The Spectre's capacity to manipulate what others perceive strikes fear into the hearts of evildoers, making him a potent force in the world of DC Comics. The Question, 2015-2016. In May 2019, filmmaker Kevin Smith, along with Mark Bernardin and Jeff Johns, conceived an ambitious project to bring the character Vic Sage, known as The Question, into the live-action world. Their vision entailed a 10-episode series focused on The Question's adventures. They even took the concept to Warner Horizon TV to seek potential platforms for the show. However, their plans hit a roadblock due to ownership issues related to the Question's origins in Charlton Comics. The Question, originally an investigative journalist turned vigilante, aimed to combat corrupt officials and politicians. Over time, his character underwent transformations, briefly becoming a mystical entity in the DC Rebirth before returning to his roots as a detective. Notably, the Question was distinguished by his objectivist philosophy, which evolved into a Zen-like outlook after receiving training from Richard Dragon. Throughout his comic book history, the Question has been affiliated with various groups, including the Justice League, Law, the Suicide Squad, Guild of Detection, Checkmate, and the Black Lantern Corps. Despite the compelling narrative potential, the live-action adaptation of The Question faced insurmountable challenges. Booster Gold, 2011. Before Greg Berlanti brought Arrow to the CW, he and former Arrowverse executive Andrew Kreisberg ventured into developing a Booster Gold series for Sci-Fi. In late 2011, they received a pilot script order from the network, igniting hope for Booster Gold live-action debut. The show's premise centered around Booster Gold's journey from the future to the present as he transformed into a superhero. Between 2012 and 2014, there were intermittent updates about the Booster Gold project. However, it eventually faded into obscurity without a clear explanation for Sci-Fi's decision not to proceed with it. Booster Gold, whose real name is Michael Carter, hailed from the year 2442. Armed with stolen 25th century technology, he became as a superhero, notably saving President Ronald Reagan's life on his inaugural adventure. This heroic act catapulted him to instant fame, which he leveraged for personal wealth. Unfortunately, a treacherous manager swindled him out of most of his riches, leaving Booster Gold with little to his name. Wonder Woman, 1974. Kathy Lee Crosby was on the cusp of becoming TV's first Wonder Woman before Linda Carter took on the iconic role. In 1974, a TV movie was produced, intended as a pilot for an ABC Wonder Woman series starring Crosby. This early interpretation of Wonder Woman diverged notably in costume design and character portrayal from the classic version. The 75-minute pilot aired in March 1974 and showcased Crosby's take on Diana. However, after the pilot's release, the project underwent significant redevelopment. This overhaul ultimately led to the casting of Linda Carter as Wonder Woman, who would become a cultural phenomenon during the 70s and further on. Unlimited Powers, 1989. Before Danny Bilson and Paul DeMeo brought The Flash to CBS in 1990, they'd attempted to create a different DC series called Unlimited Powers. This project was essentially a Justice League-inspired concept featuring characters like Flash and Green Arrow. Unlimited Powers would have followed a 40-year-old Barry Allen, who had served a 15-year prison sentence in a world where superheroes were outlawed and villains had grown stronger. The show would have also included Wally West and the teenage daughter of Oliver Queen, aka Green Arrow, as characters. Despite their efforts, Unlimited Powers didn't come to fruition. However, Bilson and DeMeo went on to create the Flash series. I think this was quite an interesting premise and deserved to be a show. But then again, I'm not sure how well the creative team would have executed it. I mean, not everyone can do well with a character like Flash. Who's Afraid of Diana Prince, 1967. In 1967, producer William Dozier, renowned for the 60s Batman series, made his first attempt to bring Wonder Woman to the small screen. The result was a pilot presentation titled Who's Afraid of Diana Prince? Clocking in at under 5 minutes, this strange production featured Ellie Wood Walker as Diana Prince, with Linda Harrison portraying her Wonder Woman alter ego. Maudie Prickett played Diana's mother. However, the pilot took an unconventional comedic approach that diverged significantly from the Wonder Woman comics. Rather than focusing on the heroic Wonder Woman character, the humor centered on Diana Prince, depicted as an awkward and unremarkable young woman. She lived near a US Air Force base and endured her mother's constant pressure to find a boyfriend. The humorous tone of the reel was in stark contrast to Batman's more straightforward portrayal in his series. In the proposed Wonder Woman series, it was Diana Prince, not Wonder Woman, who became the subject of the comedic narrative. Ultimately, Who's Afraid of Diana Prince never made it to television but resurfaced online decades later, becoming a curious artifact in the history of Wonder Woman adaptations. Batgirl, 1967. In the third season of the Batman 66 series, producers considered introducing Barbara Gordon, also known as Batgirl, and crafted a persuasive 7-minute proof of concept. Their goal was to win over ABC executives and 20th Century Fox TV, the show's production company, to include this iconic heroine in the series. During the late 1960s, rumors circulated about the potential for a spin-off series starring Yvonne Craig, who made history as the first actress to portray Batgirl. However, despite the initial buzz and the creation of the proof of concept, the idea of a standalone Batgirl spin-off never progressed beyond the planning stage. The Adventures of Super Pup, 1958. Following the conclusion of The Adventures of Superman starring George Reeves in 1958, producers sought to capitalize on the DC series' success with a new Superman project. However, they took a decidedly unexpected turn and created The Adventures of Super Pup, where all the characters were portrayed as dogs, including Clark Kent, renamed Bark Bent. Just the recipe for disaster. This unique Superman iteration placed the familiar mythos into a fictional universe inhabited by canine counterparts of the classic Superman characters. The live-action actors donned dog suits to embody these canine versions. The pilot for Super Pup was filmed on the same set used for The Adventures of Superman, and the characters were portrayed by individuals with dwarfism. Whitney Ellsworth, a television producer, conceived and created the pilot, which introduced viewers to this unconventional canine Superman universe. Bark Bent, the doggy Clark Kent, worked for the Daily Bugle, which was, of course, different from the Daily Bugle in Spider-Man comics under the editorial guidance of Terry Bite. His co-worker, a reporter, was named Pamela Poodle. Actor Billy Curtis took on the role of Bark Bent, and he'd previously appeared alongside George Reeves in Superman and the Mole Men. The plot revolved around Pamela Poodle becoming a victim of the nefarious Professor Sheepdip, who tied her to a rocket set to launch into space. Super Pup, the canine superhero, had the task of rescuing her from this peculiar, perilous predicament. The Adventures of Superboy, 1961. In 1961, the creative team behind The Adventures of Superman also tried to create their own series, centered around the Boy of Steel, Superboy. Johnny Rockwell was cast as Superboy, while Bunny Hennings took on the role of Lana Lang. This project, titled The Adventures of Superboy, aimed to capitalize on the popularity of Adventures of Superman, which had concluded its run in 1958. Although 13 scripts were commissioned for the show, only the pilot episode, titled Raja's Ransom, was ever produced. Unfortunately, The Adventures of Superboy never made it to television screens, and the pilot remained the sole installment of the series. Interestingly, this pilot was the first non-comic book portrayal of Superboy and Lana Lang. While the show itself never saw the light of day, it would serve as a precursor to later series like Superboy, which ran for 4 seasons, and the highly successful Smallville, which spanned 10 seasons. In 1993, Chuck Harter authored a book titled Superboy and Super Pup: The Lost Videos, shedding light on both The Adventures of Superboy pilot and the unproduced Super Pup pilot. The book delved into the 12 additional Superboy scripts that were prepared, had the pilot being picked up as a full series. Wonder Woman, 1999. In 1999, Deborah Joy Levine, the creator of Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman, wanted to bring Wonder Woman back to television. Years after the conclusion of the Superman series on ABC, Levine joined forces with Warner Brothers to develop a Wonder Woman show, which was pitched to NBC. Levine's vision for Wonder Woman presented the iconic character as a Greek history professor, grappling with the challenges of balancing her heroic duties. While the series retained elements of the comic book source material, it took a narrative approach similar to Lois and Clark. Despite these efforts, the NBC Wonder Woman project failed to see the light of day, and to this day, it remains just another attempt that didn't come to fruition for the beloved Amazonian superhero who could move mountains if she wanted to. However, it wouldn't be the last time the network explored the possibility of a Wonder Woman series. Global Frequency, 2005. In 2005, TV producer Mark Burnett was working on an adaptation of DC's Global Frequency and envisioned a live-action series that revolved around a clandestine organization using worldwide crowdsourcing to thwart crimes. A pilot episode was crafted, but the project failed to secure a network. Instead, the pilot leaked online, prompting Warner Brothers' displeasure and the subsequent cancellation of the project. Subsequent attempts were made to bring Global Frequency to life. In 2009, the CW took a shot at development with Scott Nimmerfro as the writer, but the project didn't progress beyond that stage. In 2014, Jerry Bruckheimer spearheaded a fresh adaptation for Fox, enlisting writer Rockne S. O'Bannon and securing a pilot production commitment. Regrettably, much like its predecessors, this endeavor also met its end before reaching fruition. Global Frequency centers on an independent covert intelligence outfit led by the mysterious Miranda Zero. With a roster of 1,001 operatives, the organization operates as a smart mob and uses specially modified video mobile phones to communicate through a central dispatch system overseen by the cryptic Aleph. Their mission is to safeguard the world from the repercussions of covert projects concealed by governments and individuals alike. The organization taps into a diverse pool of experts encompassing military personnel, intelligence agents, scientists, athletes, academics, reformed criminals, and more. Their adversaries are equally diverse, ranging from rogue military operations and paranormal phenomena to terrorist plots and apocalyptic cults. TNT's Titans, 2014. In 2014, TNT embarked on the development of a live-action series centered on the Teen Titans, a project known as Titans. Spearheaded by Akiva Goldsman, this early incarnation of the show lacked the involvement of Greg Berlanti, a key figure in the subsequent DC Universe series. TNT's Titans boasted a character lineup akin to its DC Universe counterpart, featuring Nightwing, Starfire, Beast Boy, Raven, Hawk, and Dove. An interesting addition to the team was Barbara Gordon, set to assume the mantle of Oracle. However, despite initial plans and a pilot script penned by Goldsman and Mark Hames, TNT ultimately opted not to proceed with the project in January 2016. The network found that the pilot didn't align with their vision for the series. In the following year, Warner Brothers announced a fresh attempt at bringing the Titans to life, with a new launch date set for 2018 as the inaugural scripted series for DC Universe, a streaming platform. This was the beginning of the DC Universe's live-action ventures. Static Shock 2014. In 2014, Warner Brothers' Blue Ribbon Content division began the development of a live-action series centered on the teenage hero, Static Shock. This project, however, never progressed beyond the development stage. Writer and producer Reginald Hudlin was attached to the series, but updates and specific details regarding the show's platform remained undisclosed. During the period of speculation, rumors circulated that Jaden Smith was being considered for the role of Virgil Hawkins, the young superhero. However, these remained unconfirmed. Static Shock's abilities revolved around electromagnetism, allowing him to control and manipulate electrical and magnetic energy. He could generate, absorb, channel, and project electromagnetic energy in various forms, granting him a range of impressive powers, all rooted in the fundamental forces of the universe. Static's control over electromagnetism extended to manipulating both positive and negative electrical charges, making him a formidable hero with the capacity to harness and utilize this energy for various purposes. Arrowverse's Suicide Squad 2014. The CW's Arrow debuted an episode in its second season titled Suicide Squad, spotlighting the eponymous group of supervillains coerced into risky and deadly government missions. This episode served as a litmus test, gauging fan interest in the Suicide Squad within the Arrowverse, and it received a positive response. Consequently, this anti-heroic ensemble eventually transitioned from the small screen to the big screen. The first Arrowverse incarnation of the Suicide Squad emerged in Season 2 of Arrow. The team comprised recurring antagonists Deadshot, Bronze Tiger, and Shrapnel, joined by John Diggle and Lila Michaels. Tasked with a mission to Markovia, they aimed to secure a nerve agent in the possession of the warlord Golem Qadir. Upon their arrival in Markovia, Shrapnel's escape attempt resulted in his death via the implanted bomb in his neck. The remaining members infiltrated Qadir's mansion. Deadshot successfully acquired the nerve agent, while the team engaged the warlord in combat. Despite numerous close calls, the squad triumphed, neutralizing both Qadir and the deadly substance before narrowly escaping with their lives. A distinct rendition of the Suicide Squad reappeared in the Arrow Season 2 finale titled Unthinkable. This variant featured Diggle, Lila, Deadshot, and 2 Argus detainees, Torque and Raven. Their mission was to prevent Amanda Waller from unleashing devastation upon Starling City. To achieve this, Diggle and Lila released the imprisoned duo to exert pressure on Waller. In a tense standoff, Waller ultimately relented, leading to a de-escalation of hostilities. Arrow's first and second seasons introduced several key Suicide Squad characters, even dedicating an entire episode to the team's exploits. Viewer response was positive, and the show planted the seeds for a potential Suicide Squad spin-off. Arrowverse actors and writers expressed their intentions to explore these characters further, but these plans were ultimately shelved due to the DCEU's cinematic adaptation helmed by David Ayer. Ronin 2014. In 2014, Sci-Fi wanted to adapt Frank Miller's renowned graphic novel Ronin into a television series. The show would have been about a 13th century samurai reincarnated in the 21st century, driven by a profound mission of vengeance. The story followed this excellent but mysterious warrior known simply as Ronin on a relentless quest. His tragic past bound him to an unbreakable oath, which was to safeguard his master, Lord Ozaki, from relentless assassins. However, Ozaki's death at the hands of a vengeful demon named Agat, concealed in the guise of a geisha, shattered the samurai's world. To Agat's grievance, Ozaki had appropriated a sword infused with dark power, fueled by the blood of innocence. Upon Ozaki's death, Ronin embarked on a journey that transcended time itself. He sought to reclaim the stolen sword and exact his vengeance. Sci-Fi's initial announcement generated excitement among fans, but alas, this compelling project remained shrouded in mystery as it failed to progress beyond its inception. Scalped 2014. Scalped was a modern-day crime series that could have become something big. The project, helmed by Doug Young, was initially conceived for WGN America. However, it wasn't until 2016 that the concept received the green light for a pilot episode. Scalped was envisioned as a gripping narrative set in the confines of a Native American Indian reservation. It delved into the intricacies of the community, led by the ambitious Chief Lincoln Red Crow. At the story's core was the return of Dashiell Bad Horse, a character returning home after years spent away. In the subsequent year, the pilot began to take shape with the casting of key characters, including Alex Mraz, Jill Birmingham, Irene Bedard, and Chaska Spencer. The plot focused on power struggles, loyalties, and spiritual dimensions that defined life within the reservation. The culmination of this creative effort ended up in the filming of the Scalped pilot in April 2017. However, despite the anticipation surrounding the project, WGN America ultimately made the decision to pass on the series several months later, leaving the pilot episode as the sole testament to this unexplored world of crime, ambition, and Native American heritage. Metropolis, 2018. Before the dawn of DC Universe in 2018, the streaming platform began the development of various shows, including an intriguing project known as Metropolis. Unlike the conventional focus on Superman, this series took a unique narrative angle by centering on Lois Lane and Lex Luthor as investigators. Metropolis delved into the uncharted territory of the City of Tomorrow well before the iconic arrival of Superman. The storyline revolved around Lois and Lex as they delved into the enigmatic world of fringe science, unraveling the city's long concealed and peculiar secrets. Behind the scenes, the creative force was set with John Stevens, renowned for his work as the showrunner of Gotham, who would serve as both the writer and executive producer. Director Danny Cannon was also part of the team poised to bring Metropolis to life. However, in May 2018, the project underwent a phase of redevelopment, ultimately leading to its quiet death. The untold stories of Lois Lane and Lex Luthor investigating the mysteries of Metropolis remained confined to the realm of unfulfilled potential. Secret 6, 2019. CBS, known for its brief stint with Supergirl before its migration to the CW, once tried to bring to life a famous super team. Unable to pursue the Suicide Squad, CBS took a different route by attempting to develop a series based on the Secret 6 comic series. Spearheaded by Rick Miragi, a writer and producer renowned for his work on Suits, the project received a promising pilot production commitment. The envisioned Secret 6 series revolved around a group of 6 morally ambiguous characters compelled by mysterious forces to unite as a team. Their shared mission was to expose and confront the deep-seated corruption entrenched within the echelons of corporate and political elites. Together, they operated covertly as the Secret Six. The Secret Six first hit the comic book stores during the Silver Age of comic books, debuting in their eponymous 7-issue title between May 1968 and May 1969. Created by writer E. Nelson Bridwell and artist Frank Springer, this original team included August Durant, Lily DeNerve, Carlo DeRienzi, Mike Tempest, Crimson Dawn, and King Savage. However, despite the initial enthusiasm and commitment, CBS ultimately decided not to proceed with the Secret 6 series. #4Hero 2015. In 2015, Machinima and Warner Bros. Embarked on a collaboration to bring DC's Dial H for Hero to life as a live-action series titled #4Hero. The central premise revolved around Nellie Tribble, who stumbled upon a transformative app that granted her the ability to become a superhero for a limited duration. Nellie's superpowers were dynamically influenced by trending topics on social media each time she used the app. The original possessor of the mysterious dial was Robert "Robbie" Reed, an intellectually gifted teenager known for his exclamation of "Sucker Maggie." Residing in the fictional town of Littleville, Colorado, Robbie, alongside his grandfather, Gramps Reed, and their housekeeper, Miss Millie, discovered the dial's incredible capabilities. Robbie's journey began when he accidentally stumbled upon the dial in a cavern. The dial itself resembled a rotary telephone dial, with symbols inside the finger openings and along its outer rim. Robbie's keen intellect enabled him to decode these symbols into modern English letters. By dialing the letters HERO, Robbie would undergo a radical transformation into a different superpowered being. A subsequent dialing of OREH would revert him to his ordinary form. With these newfound abilities, Robbie took on the mantle of numerous superheroes to protect Littleville. Despite the initial announcement, further updates or developments concerning #4Hero remained conspicuously absent from the public eye, leaving the potential live-action adaptation of Dial H for Hero in limbo. Painkiller 2020. During the 4th season of Black Lightning, the creators wanted to extend the story of one of its characters, Khalil Payne. The creators then introduced a backdoor pilot in the final season, focusing on Jordan Calloway's anti-hero character, Painkiller, and exploring his journey in the fictional locale of Akashic Valley. In this spin-off concept, Painkiller would embark on his own path, independent of the main Black Lightning plot. The premise received a positive response from the audience and hinted at exciting potential storylines for this complex character. However, despite the enthusiasm surrounding surrounding the Painkiller spin-off, the CW ultimately chose not to move forward with the series. The exact reasons behind this decision remain unclear. In the Black Lightning series, Painkiller initially appeared as a mob enforcer hired by the Brothers Who Rule. Tasked with halting Black Lightning's relentless pursuit of these figures, Painkiller devised an elaborate plan. He set a trap in a crack house brimming with vulnerable teenagers, intending to eliminate Black Lightning and manipulate law enforcement into opening fire on innocent youths. However, Black Lightning's powers granted him a degree of protection against Painkiller's abilities. The hero thwarted the impending tragedy, engaging in a fierce battle with Painkiller that ultimately led to the latter's demise. Strange Adventures. In August 2022, a wave of major decisions shook the DC fan community as Warner Bros. Discovery, under new leadership, made sweeping changes to its slate of DC projects. The upheaval began with the startling cancellation of the Batgirl movie, which had already progressed deep into the post-production phase. One casualty of this shift was Strange Adventures, an anthology series that promised to explore the lesser-known corners of the DC universe, shining a spotlight on characters beyond the iconic triumvirate of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. However, news of the show's cancellation did not emerge through official channels, but rather broke on filmmaker Kevin Smith's podcast, Hollywood Babylon. Smith disclosed that he'd been actively involved in the project, even crafting an episode centered around Bizarro and Jimmy Olsen. Notably, Smith had been in discussions to secure the talents of Nicolas Cage to portray Bizarro, a potential casting coup that garnered significant attention. Despite the public revelation on Smith's podcast, it was later revealed that Strange Adventures had quietly met its end months before the broader WB-DC restructuring, as per reports from The Hollywood Reporter. Madame X. Madame Xanadu has always been a prominent figure in the mystical realm of the DC universe, and she made her live-action debut in 2019 through the Swamp Thing TV series, with Gerald Prescott bringing the character to life. While her introduction held promise, the premature cancellation of Swamp Thing left her story hanging without a chance to flourish independently. However, a glimmer of hope did emerge when J.J. Abrams and his production company, Bat Robot, expressed their interest in building a Justice League Dark franchise, where various characters would receive their own spotlight. Among these plans was a Madame X series, masterminded by writer, director, and producer Angela Robinson. This project sought to delve into the enigmatic world of Madame Xanadu. Regrettably, the tumultuous shifts within Warner Bros. Discovery during 2022 led to a seismic upheaval in DC programming, resulting in the untimely axing of the Madame X project. Justice U. The Arrowverse's potential spin-off series Justice U, starring David Ramsey's John Diggle, generated significant excitement when it was initially announced. However, the eventual cancellation of the series came as no surprise, given the Arrowverse's gradual decline in quality. Justice U was designed to feature Diggle training the next generation of Arrowverse heroes, offering a unique concept unrelated to DC Comics lore. However, several factors contributed to the series' likely demise even before it could come to life. Announced in 2022, the show's potential release around the Arrowverse's 10th anniversary aimed to infuse new energy into the shared universe. While other unrelated series like Superman and Lois and Stargirl enjoyed success and positive reception, the parent channel, the CW, faced challenges that cast doubt on the project's viability. Krypton, 2018 to 2019. Krypton was a live-action series that delved into the titular planet and the life of Superman's grandfather, Seg-El. Set in the centuries that led up to Krypton's destruction, the show explored the planet's politics, warfare, and impending peril. However, despite its intriguing premise, Krypton faced several challenges that led to its cancellation in 2019. One of the significant issues Krypton encountered was its limited connection to the broader DC universe. The series distanced itself too much from iconic characters like Superman and other well-known Kryptonians, which made it challenging to captivate audiences. Consequently, Krypton struggled to deliver compelling content over its two-season run and quietly faded away without making a significant impact. The show was set approximately 2 centuries before the birth of Superman, which was quite an interesting perspective on the history of Krypton. Swamp Thing, 1990 to 1991. Swamp Thing, the animated series featuring the DC character of the same name, aired from 1990 to 1991. It boasts one of the shortest runs for any superhero animated series, with just 5 episodes before its abrupt cancellation. While there was nothing inherently wrong with Swamp Thing, its existence itself was somewhat puzzling. The show coincided with a live-action series of the same name, making it a curious parallel approach. Moreover, Swamp Thing was primarily aimed at children, yet it struggled to capture the attention of its intended audience, leading to a swift and unremarkable conclusion. Naomi. Naomi, the TV series developed by Ava DuVernay and Jill Blankenship, was an adaptation of the comic book series of the same name. The show made its debut on the CW in January 2022 and concluded its first season in May 2022. Unfortunately, it faced cancellation after just one season in May 2022. The story centered around Naomi McDuffie, a teenager with a deep love for comic books, particularly Superman. Her life took a dramatic turn when a supernatural event took place in Port Oswego, Oregon. Driven by curiosity, Naomi went on a quest to uncover the origins of this mysterious occurrence. Along her journey, she received assistance from her best friend, a supportive adoptive parents, and a tattoo shop owner who carried a hidden past. So, these were basically all the DC TV shows that were axed either too early or after a few immature seasons. While I was glad that a few of these were cancelled, some of their untimely endings hurt quite a bit. Nevertheless, that's life, I suppose. Just kidding. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.